Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's always nice to come out of meditation, in our services here and turn around and see, or open your eyes and see who else has joined us. So welcome. Um, about a year ago, well, pretty much a year ago, I changed jobs. I went from being a nurse in a hospital setting to being a nurse out in the field, taking care of end of life patients, hospice, if you will. A big change, a lot bigger than I expected it to be. Like huge, really big. So little did I know just how all-consuming this work would be. Uh, I'm busy with patients and work tasks all day. I'm busy with thinking of just what do I need to order for this patient? What sort of supplies or medications do they need? What does this family need for support? And when will I find time to even do my notes? So it's a, a big job, but I'm enjoying it a lot. So there's a lot of routine and urgency, and I wake up thinking about this. Just what is my day going to hold for me? There's this term that Thich Nhat Hanh used, coined, habit energy. So, so those sort of automatic behaviors that pretty much consume how you live. What you do every day. Uh, get up, have some coffee. When you go to the store, you're thinking about the list and what you want to order, and you're thinking about how fast, what time is it, and these things that are just automatic about your thinking. You're going down this track one day, day in and day out. Now, I asked my wife for some help with this talk. I was having some trouble. What am I going to talk about? What's the topic going to be, basically? We talked about, how about if we make it about our cats somehow? There's two cats that we have, how they don't seem to bother me in any way. Whatever they do, I'm fine with. But they seem to drive my wife crazy. Like it's as though they're thinking on this one level, and she knows when they don't want something and they're crying and they're yelling. They don't yell, they just meow. Just says, quit yelling at me. you know. So I don't know. It's just she and the cats are on a different level than me and the cats. But then Sunny, my wife, said something that gave me pause. She said, you're not very approachable, right? And I thought, oh. And I know that about myself. I'm a quiet person. I tend to keep to myself. Um, never been accused of being the life of the party, basically. You know, so, although I was debating whether I'm gonna put this in the talk or not. There was this one time in college, I got real drunk. I was at a bar, and apparently I proceeded to hold a clinic on how to play pool. you know, I don't remember any of that, but that's what I was told that happened. When, as a matter of fact, when I got up the next day to come down for breakfast, the dining hall, all my friends were like, "Whoa, Dave, how's it going? What a night, eh?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I guess I have it in me somewhere, but I don't express that very often. You know. So I started to think about this, though. She said, "You're not very approachable, right?" Sunny, on the other hand, is really approachable and very sociable. Well, we have a yard that we tend to, and she is out there a lot, taking care of the landscaping and the plants. And neighbors come by and they compliment us on the landscaping and how much they enjoy it and everything. And she's just having a great time talking to people as they come by. Um, Sometimes she says, "I hate being interrupted," but you couldn't tell, you know. And in the meantime, if I'm out there working with her, I'm thinking, "Oh, gee, small talk. I hate small talk. and I know that being standoffish is not necessarily a neighborly thing, right? But I was thinking in the context of this talk, why is that? Why be like that? What makes me like that? You know, so why do we act in ways that cause us problems, basically? You know, why do we persist in bringing suffering upon ourselves? You have to realize that's what your actions are what create your life, and that's where your suffering comes from. So, do you really want to know the answer to that question? Why do we do that? Why do we act in the ways that we do that seem to cause us angst, seem to cause us issues and problems and suffering? What is it? If you really want to know, it's ignorance. So, I'm going to share a little sutta with you about that topic, basically. So my hands in Hapjang, this from the Samyutta Nikaya. On one occasion, Venerable Shariputra and Venerable Mahakotita were staying near Varanasi in the deer park in Isipatana. As he was sitting to one side, Venerable Mahakotita said to Venerable Shariputra, "Ignorance, ignorance." It is said, friend Shariputra, which ignorance? And to what extent is one immersed in ignorance? There is the case, my friend, where an uninstructed, run-of-the-mill person doesn't discern, as they have come to be, the origination, the disappearance, the allure, the drawbacks of, and the escape from form. He doesn't discern, as they have come to be, the origination, the disappearance, the allure, the drawbacks of, and the escape from feeling. He doesn't discern, as they have come to be, the origination, the disappearance, the allure, and the drawbacks of, and the escape from perception. He doesn't discern, as they have come to be, the origination, the disappearance, the allure, the drawbacks, and the escape from fabrications. He doesn't discern, as they have come to be, the origination, the disappearance, the allure, and the drawbacks of, and the escape from consciousness. This, my friend, is called ignorance. And it's to this extent that one is immersed in ignorance. So ends that reading. Now, so what I get from that is that we simply don't know why we suffer. That's our ignorance. We don't even have any concept or understanding of why it is that we suffer. We just, things are going bad and we complain and we say, oh, this is terrible. Why am I like this? Why am I suffering? You don't know. You have no concept. Why do we continue to make dumb mistakes, as it were? So, what is it that we are actually ignorant of? The Buddha actually defines this, um, what we're ignorant of. We're ignorant of not knowing what causes suffering. We're ignorant of the Four Noble Truths, of not understanding the Four Noble Truths. So we're ignorant of not understanding that there is suffering, the first truth. Then we're ignorant that there is a cause of suffering. We're ignorant that that the suffering can somehow end. And then we're ignorant of the end of, that there is an end possibly of the suffering that is contained in the Buddha's Eightfold Path. And there's a problem with this. You think, oh, well, if I just study the Four Noble Truths, I'll understand, and then I'll be free of ignorance. You can't really study your way out of this issue. You have to practice in order to gain understanding. There is, in the Heart Sutra, this came to me as we were chanting. The Buddha has this teaching that sums up our predicament in life, basically, the 12 links of dependent origination. And to do a talk on that is like, above my pay grade right now. So, um, not that we don't get paid for this though. Okay, so there's a lot to it basically. But in the Heart Sutra, there's two simple lines that sum up the um, the 12 links of dependent origination. And that is no ignorance nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them. Those are both ends of that 12 links, the beginning and the end of it. So, so ignorance is the first link in this chain of dependent origination. The Buddhist teaching of what leads to suffering keeps us wandering around in this worldly maze that we're in, looking for cheese, basically. Right? The second link in the 12 links of dependent origination is volitional formations or mental formations. Sometimes they're it's coined. So volitional formations, what is that? It's a complicated way of saying something that is hard to define, basically. The Sanskrit word would be sankara, and that's from two words basically meaning to put together, to put these um, concepts or ideas together from the beginning. So volitional formations are unfiltered, unconsidered, unconscious intentions that um, cause us to act one way or the other, this way or that. Why do you do that? I don't know. It's just in me. I just act this way. Why am I unapproachable? I don't know. I just act. I just am. um, but this is where our karma comes from. This volitional formations come from or generate our karma. This is that generates how we act. And we find ourselves in this maze, bumping into walls, ingrained to act a certain way. And with ignorance as the cause or foundation, with ignorance as the of the cause of with ignorance of the cause of suffering as our foundation. So think of that. We're ignorant of the cause of suffering, and that is our basic foundation. What actually puts us on this path on Earth here. With ignorance of the cause of suffering as our foundation, we act to preserve ourselves, and we just keep at it. We're trying to keep our ego going. We're trying to keep ourselves um, happy and satisfied somehow, and we keep at it. And we don't know why. We just keep at it. We are members of this large club of people who keep fully participating in the cause of their own suffering, wondering why we suffer. You know, we're causing it, and then we wonder, why do I suffer? And we are what that sutta calls uninstructed run-of-the-mill persons. Now, to me, that's motivation enough to practice. I don't want to be an uninstructed run-of-the-mill person. You want to be an uninstructed run-of-the-mill person? No. So maybe he was taunting us. Sorry, Pluto. So it may be ingrained in me to be so-called unapproachable, but there is another way to think about this, another way to deal with this, and that is to take a moment to notice, to breathe and to smile. So, at the beginning of a workday, I can feel overwhelmed at what lies ahead, and I feel rushed already. I haven't actually done anything, but I can just see like mapping the day out in front of me. And, oh my God, how am I going to do all this? It's going to take this much time, and this, I won't be home until 7. Blah blah blah. And then there's the phone aspect of my work. I've never been a fan of talking on the phone, and yet it's what I got to do a lot of. You know, it's a huge part of my day. So what do you do? What do you do? Breathe and just go for it. Just do what it takes. The way I like to think of this, facing up to things like this, is to not separate your practice from what your work is, what your life is. Okay, have it be part of what you do as your practice. So, as I said, notice, interrupt the automaticity, interrupt the automatic thinking, the automatic behavior. Interrupt that urge to hurry, interrupt that urge to not be present, to not be here now, as it were. Another thing that I like to practice at times is ask, what is this? You know, what is this urge to rush? You know, instead of rushing, immediately think, what is this urge to rush? What is this urge to drive to act automatically? And a lot of our practice is getting good at interrupting, you know, getting practiced in the behavior of taking a break from what is happening at the moment and just observing and being with whatever it is and letting your and instead of acting in a rote automatic way doing something that's skillful, as they say in Buddhism, as opposed to unskillful. You know, an example. So the phone, you know, my nemesis, the phone. A lot of times, I was thinking, being on the phone. I just want to get to the point, get this call over with, basically. For whatever reason, recently, and I know a lot of people just do this automatically. It's like it's good manners, basically. But I wasn't practicing this, so I've adopted some good manners here. You pick up the phone, introduce yourself. Don't say, who's this? You know, is this person? Introduce yourself. They say, you know, who they are, and they say, how are you today? You know, why hasn't it ever occurred to me before to say, how are you today? Isn't that ridiculous? I think, you know? But it settles things down. It settles the both of us down to be with the call rather than jumping to the conclusion of the call. So, how are you today? And I want to share one other little thing, another method of interruption, if you will. Um, my mom lives out of state right now. She was in Texas with, there's more family down there than there is up here, basically. And she's 87 and she's opted to be around more family. And so that's why she's there. And she's now in a nursing home. She had a stroke that she has seemingly pretty much recovered from. There are some residuals. For instance, she's no longer good at math. Not that she ever was, but she's really not good at math now. She and numbers are like on different planets. But one thing that she hasn't lost is drawing. She's an artist, and she's taken to drawing again, and I'm really happy for that. But uh, one thing that I found, I was going through her belongings at my aunt's house, my aunts and uncle's house, and I found a mala that I had given her some time ago. And I thought, you know, when we go back tomorrow, I'm going to bring this mala to her and let her, you know, just reintroduce her to her mala. And I showed it to her, and she and said, "Look, remember this?" And she said, "Oh yeah." And she started moving the beads a little bit herself. It was moving to me, really. And she said, "How is that? How's the chant? Namu Amitabha, Amitabha, Namu Amitabha." I thought, yeah, that's it. And that was just amazing to me. That's another way to interrupt things. You know, when I was in visiting in Korea um, before ordination as a Dharma teacher, the Supreme Patriarch at the Sonamsa, the temple that we were visiting, noticed he had a large mala in his hand, wrist mala basically, and he was constantly moving the beads, moving the beads, you know, interrupting the interrupting that automaticity, automatic train. So just wanted to leave you with that. I thought that was a cool thing that she did that. So well, thank you so much